Leave, before the cops get here. This place isn't for your kind." The words sliced through the hotel lobby like a blade drawn in public. Gregory Vance, the general manager, wasn't whispering. He wasn't hiding. He wanted every guest in that marble hall to hear him put her in her place. His finger jabbed the air, stopping inches from her face. Behind him, 6 uniformed staff stood frozen, their suits pressed, their eyes wide. To his right, a young security guard already had a hand clamped on her arm, like she was a trespasser instead of a paying guest. The woman didn't flinch. She stood in a white blouse, fitted jeans, a black cap pulled low. No designer bag, no jewelry, no entourage. Just quiet presence. She carried herself like stone, anchored, unshaken, waiting. Guests scattered across the lobby went still. A pair of women in navy uniforms clutched their phones, filming with furtive swipes of their thumb. A man near the concierge desk whispered, "Did he just say that out loud?" His companion nodded, lips pressed tight, already angling his camera toward the scene. Gregory's voice rose, sharp and theatrical. "People like you walk in with fake cards, fake names, and think you can steal from Horizon Grand. Not today, not in my lobby." The security guard shifted, tightening his grip. Gasps rippled across the hall. Some guests looked away, uncomfortable. Others leaned in, eyes locked, hungry to witness what they already knew was wrong. But she stayed calm, her gaze never wavered. "And before we continue, where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. And if you believe in dignity and justice, hit like and subscribe. These stories spark change. And we're glad you're here. Now, back to Aisha Carter." She turned slightly, her voice low but steady. "Let go of my arm. No anger, no begging, just command." The guard hesitated, almost obeying instinctively, then looked back at Gregory. The manager sneered. "Don't listen to her. She's nothing here." A murmur rose among the guests. A travel vlogger near the entrance whispered into her live stream, "We're live at Horizon Grand, Seattle, and you're watching this go down in real time." Her chat exploded with comments, the screen flashing hearts and outrage emojis. Gregory's face flushed red, feeding on the power of the moment. "Call the police," he barked to the front desk clerks. "Tell them we've got a fraud in the lobby." Phones were already up, cameras already rolling. The marble floor reflected the tension like a drum stretched too tight. The silence between insults was just as loud as the words themselves. She inhaled once, slow, deliberate. And then she spoke again, calm, cutting. "Be careful. Every word you say is already history." The room shifted. 9 minutes from now, this lobby would belong to her in ways no one here could imagine. 9 minutes earlier, the lobby had been ordinary. Crystal chandeliers glowed above polished marble floors. The check-in line buzzed with quiet conversations in different languages. Luggage wheels whispered across the tile. Nothing unusual until she walked in. Her name was Aisha Carter. No one in that room knew it yet, and that was exactly how she wanted it. She entered not as a billionaire, not as the owner, but as a guest. Plain white blouse tucked into fitted jeans, black cap pulled low. No jewelry except a simple gold stud in each ear. A small leather bag at her side, nothing with a logo that shouted wealth. She didn't arrive with bodyguards or assistants. She didn't even carry herself like someone who demanded attention, but the space felt her presence anyway. The front desk staff glanced up the way people do when they're trained to spot problem guests. Their eyes moved over her shoes, her bag, her face. Then they looked away too quickly, as if they'd already decided who she was. The assumption slid across the counter like a silent policy. "Not our kind of guest." Aisha approached calmly, voice measured. "Reservation, Carter, penthouse suite." She placed her ID and sleek black card on the counter with deliberate precision. No fuss, no performance. Gregory Vance, the manager, studied the card with 2 fingers like it might stain him. His brows knit together, the calculation already racing behind his eyes. This woman, dressed like this, claiming that suite. It didn't fit the picture he wanted for Horizon Grand. He didn't bother to hide the doubt twisting his face. Behind him, a junior clerk shifted nervously. Elena Ruiz, younger, quieter, but her eyes lingered on the computer screen that already displayed the reservation. She saw the name, saw the tag marked VIP. Her lips parted as if to speak, but she stopped herself when Gregory shot her a glance sharp enough to silence. The air in the lobby changed, then subtle but undeniable. Conversations dulled. Guests sensed tension blooming near the desk. A travel blogger across the lounge raised her phone instinctively, mouthing to her friend, "Record this." Aisha stood still, hands folded loosely in front of her. She had been here before, maybe not this lobby, not this city, but this moment. At 24, a boutique hotel in Atlanta told her, "You don't look like someone who'd stay here." At 29, a clerk in Los Angeles stared at her ID for 2 hours while she watched 3 white men get keys without question. And now, at 37, in a hotel she owned outright, the same look returned. The same script, the same dismissal dressed up as protocol. But this time was different. Gregory's lips curled into something that was half smile, half sneer. "Strange," he muttered. "This doesn't look right. We'll need to verify." He didn't lower his voice. He wanted the lobby to hear. Aisha didn't argue. She didn't plead. She simply met his eyes, calm as still water. The silence that followed wasn't weakness, it was warning. And in that silence, the storm began to gather. Gregory didn't push the ID back across the counter. He held it between his fingers like evidence in a trial. Then, with a flick of his wrist, he passed it to Kevin Patel, the clerk standing stiff at his side. "Run this," Gregory ordered, voice low but loud enough for nearby guests to hear. "And check for fraud." Kevin smirked, nodding quickly, already moving toward the back office. His voice carried as he left. "We get this all the time. Fancy cards, fake names, people hoping we won't check." The sentence hung in the air, sharp as glass. Several guests turned their heads. Phones rose higher. One man whispered to his wife, "Fake? He hasn't even checked yet." Lauren Hayes, another desk clerk with a perfect ponytail and tighter smile, leaned closer to Gregory. Her words weren't soft. She wanted them overheard. "Should I call security now? Just in case?" Gregory's mouth curved. "Do it." Lauren pressed a button beneath the counter. A discreet chime echoed faintly through the lobby, but the gesture wasn't discreet at all. Guests noticed. Elena Ruiz noticed too. Her hands froze above her keyboard. She looked at the screen again, reservation confirmed, VIP tag glowing, everything valid. She swallowed hard. "Sir," Elena began quietly. "Her booking." Gregory's glare cut her short. "Not another word!" The tension spread like smoke. A family wheeling luggage stopped mid-step. A young couple by the elevators pulled out their phones. The travel vlogger whispered into her live stream, "He just called security on her." "No reason. This is happening live right now." The comments flooded in, scrolling so fast they blurred. Aisha remained exactly where she stood. No shifting, no protest. Her stillness made the noise around her sharper. Moments later, the glass doors slid open. A uniformed guard stepped inside, shoulders squared, hand already resting on his belt. His radio crackled faintly as he scanned the scene. Lauren gestured toward Aisha. "That's her. Unauthorized guest trying to access premium suites." And the guard moved closer, eyes narrowing. "Ma'am, I'll need you to step aside while we sort this out." A murmur rippled through the lobby. Someone gasped. A teenager lifted his phone above the crowd for a better angle. Aisha lifted her chin, voice calm. "I checked in. My name is Carter." Gregory snorted. "Anyone can say that." His tone rose, sharper, meant to sting. "You don't belong in a penthouse. Not here, not ever." The words were loud, deliberate, performative, and the lobby, once ordinary, was now a stage. The lobby swelled with murmurs, but she didn't move. Aisha Carter stood anchored in place, her posture neither defensive nor submissive. The guard's hand hovered near her arm, waiting for a reason to clamp down, but she gave him nothing. No flinch, no fight, just silence. Gregory leaned in, sensing weakness where there was none. "See that? She's got nothing to say, because she knows she doesn't belong." His words carried across the marble hall, bouncing against the glass and stone until every guest could hear. Still, Aisha stayed quiet, her eyes held steady, dark and unblinking, fixed on Gregory's face as if memorizing every insult for later. The weight of her silence pressed heavier than any argument could. Elena Ruiz, standing a few feet away, shifted uneasily. She glanced again at the reservation system. Carter, penthouse suite, status, confirmed. She opened her mouth, closed it again, caught between the truth on her screen and the authority looming beside her. The guard cleared his throat. "Ma'am, I'm asking you one more time. Step aside." Her answer came not in volume, but in tone, low, deliberate, sharp as steel. "Let go of me." The guard hesitated. His grip loosened a fraction. For a split second, his eyes flicked to Gregory, searching for permission. Gregory's jaw tightened. "Don't listen to her," he barked. "She's wasting our time." Phones tilted higher. The vlogger whispered into her live stream. "She hasn't raised her voice once. Not once. And they're still treating her like this." Some guests shook their heads. Others whispered, uncomfortable but silent. One older woman muttered, "This isn't right," her voice trembling as she clutched her handbag. Aisha's silence wasn't passive, it was deliberate. It was the same silence she had carried at 16 when a hotel clerk in Charlotte told her, "This area is for guests only," before escorting her outside. The same silence she carried at 24 when she slept in her car because an Atlanta hotel refused to honor her reservation. Those moments had forged something unbreakable. And now, standing in the lobby she owned, she let that silence return not as surrender, but as warning. Gregory smirked, mistaking it for defeat. "Call the police," he snapped again. "She's a fraud." Lauren nodded, already reaching for the landline. Elena's breath caught. Her hand hovered above her keyboard. She wanted to speak, to say the words no one else dared, but Gregory's glare pinned her in place. Aisha didn't move, didn't blink. The marble floor, the crystal lights, the quiet hum of air conditioning, everything seemed to hold its breath with her. The storm was coming, and she was ready. The first flash of red light wasn't from security, it was from a phone. A young man near the velvet couches tapped live and whispered into his camera. "We're at Horizon Grand in Seattle. They're kicking out a black woman from the lobby. No reason." His voice trembled, but the footage was clear. Gregory towering, the guard's hand gripping her arm, and Aisha standing calm in the storm. A second phone rose across the hall. Sophie Lynn, a travel blogger from San Francisco, angled her lens high and steady. "People need to see this," she murmured. Her companion Jacob added, louder this time, "They're calling her a fraud in front of everyone. This is not okay." His stream pinged with comments almost instantly. "Stay strong. Expose them. Name the hotel." Guests who moments ago were wheeling luggage now slowed, circling subtly closer. A woman with a stroller whispered to her husband, "Why are they treating her like that?" She showed ID. He shook his head, muttering, "Because they think she doesn't belong." At the front desk, Elena Ruiz's chest tightened. She saw the screens, her system still confirmed the booking. She heard Gregory's lies echo louder with each repetition. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard, itching to pull up the reservation on the main monitor for everyone to see. But one glance from Gregory froze her in place. His eyes carried the weight of threat. "Stay silent if you want your job." Still, Elena's conscience cracked. She whispered under her breath, "Her name's in the system. I saw it." Aisha caught the words, barely audible, but said nothing. She didn't need to. Not yet. Meanwhile, Lauren at the desk leaned toward the phone, her voice rehearsed and clipped. "Yes, we have an unauthorized guest attempting to access a premium suite. Possible stolen ID. Send security immediately." Every word she spoke felt louder than it should, amplified by the silence that followed. A guest near the elevators gasped. "Stolen? She didn't steal anything." His wife shushed him, pulling him back, but the ripple was already spreading. The live stream counters climbed. 200, 400, 600 viewers. Comments scrolled. "Classic profiling. Keep filming. This is how they do us." Sophie's chat exploded with rage emojis, hearts, calls for justice. Through it all, Aisha stayed silent, anchored. Her stillness was more commanding than Gregory's bluster, more powerful than Lauren's call for backup. She stood like the center of gravity in a room beginning to tilt. The security guard shifted uneasily. His grip loosened again, the weight of watching eyes pressing heavier on his shoulders than Gregory's order. He glanced at the rising sea of phones pointed his way. Gregory noticed too. His voice snapped louder, harder. "What are you all looking at? She doesn't belong here." But the lobby was no longer his stage. It belonged to every witness pressing record. And in silence, Aisha let the cameras do the work she didn't need to. The lobby had become an audience. Phones angled higher, whispers thickened into open murmurs. But Gregory thrived on spectacle. He leaned forward across the desk, his voice cutting through the room like a gavel. "She is not a guest here," he declared. She's a fraud trying to sneak into rooms reserved for real clients. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Sophie's camera zoomed in, catching every word. Jacob muttered on his live stream, "He's lying. You can see her card, her ID. It's right there." But Gregory didn't stop. He gestured dramatically at Aisha's bag, her clothes, her silence. "Look at her. No luggage, no reservation, nothing but a stolen card and a story." Lauren Hayes, emboldened by his tone, stepped forward. Her voice was sharp, rehearsed, corporate-sounding but dripping with contempt. "We've seen this before. People come in off the street dressed like this, claiming to have penthouse bookings. It's textbook fraud." The words landed heavy. Some guests recoiled. Others stared harder at Aisha, as if searching for proof of innocence in her calm expression. The guard shifted again, discomfort plain now. Elena's lips parted, the truth burning at the back of her throat. She saw the confirmation on her screen. She knew the booking was real. Her pulse raced as she whispered, almost too softly to hear, "It's valid." But the words died against the marble, swallowed by Gregory's next command. "Security!" he barked. "Remove her. Now." The guard hesitated, glancing at the cameras pointed in his direction. "Sir, maybe we should—" "Now." Gregory's voice cracked like a whip. Lauren added fuel. "If we allow this, we compromise every guest's safety. Do you want a scammer walking around upstairs?" Her words were calculated, loud, designed for the audience as much as the staff. But the audience wasn't buying it. A man near the window shouted, "She hasn't done anything." Another guest raised her phone and said, "I saw her show her card. You never even checked properly." Gregory's face flushed. He slammed his palm on the counter. "This isn't a debate. She's not a client. She's a con." The marble floor seemed to hum with tension. The chandeliers above swayed slightly, as if even the air recoiled from the accusation. Through it all, Aisha didn't raise her voice. She didn't defend herself. She simply turned her gaze from Gregory to Lauren, then to the guard, then back to Gregory again, steady, unyielding, unreadable. That silence pressed harder than any words, and the longer she stayed still, the more the room seemed to bend around her. Guests shifted closer. Phones captured every angle. The truth was recording itself in real time, no edits required. Gregory didn't realize it yet, but with every insult he hurled, the ground beneath him cracked a little more. And Aisha, silent, patient, was waiting for the fall. The words, "She's a con," still hung in the air when Kevin Patel returned from the back office, his eyes gleaming with misplaced triumph. In his hand, he held Aisha's sleek black card. He raised it high like a trophy for the lobby to see. "Not today," he said, voice sharp. "This card is company property now. Until the bank verifies it, she's done here." Gasps erupted. A woman near the couches whispered, "That's theft." Another guest muttered, "They can't just take her card." Phones zoomed in, recording every detail, the glint of the card, Kevin's smug grin, the disbelief spreading across the crowd. Aisha didn't move. Her gaze stayed fixed, unreadable. Gregory fed on the moment. "Escort her out," he barked. "She has no right to be here." The security guard hesitated. Too many eyes, too many cameras, but Lauren stepped in, blazer stiff, expression cold. She moved closer to Aisha, her hand stretching out as if to seize her arm. "Let's go," Lauren snapped. "You've embarrassed yourself enough." The moment her fingers brushed Aisha's sleeve, the lobby shifted. Gasps echoed against marble walls. Sophie's live stream caught it instantly. Her voice trembled as she spoke into her mic. "They just put hands on her. You're watching this live." The comment section exploded. "Unreal. Sue them. This is assault." A mother clutched her daughter's hand tighter. A man in a navy suit muttered, "They're going to regret this." Elena Ruiz stepped forward at last, her voice shaking but clear. "Stop. Her reservation is valid. I saw her name in the system this morning." "Ugh." Gregory whirled on her, fury in his eyes. "One more word, Elena, and you're finished here." But the words were already loose in the air, impossible to take back. Guests around the lobby murmured louder, their doubt now open rebellion. Lauren pulled back, cheeks flushing, but Gregory doubled down. He slammed the desk phone down, his voice booming. "This is Horizon Grand Management. We have a fraud in the lobby. Send police immediately." Silence followed. A heavy, stunned silence. Every guest heard the word fraud. Every phone captured it. Aisha breathed once, slow, measured. Then she spoke not to Gregory, not to the guard, but to the room itself. Her voice was quiet, yet it cut through the lobby like steel. You just made a false report, and every witness here heard it. The chandeliers trembled faintly, their crystals ringing in the stillness. Gregory scoffed, waving her off like an inconvenience. You don't scare me. But his voice cracked, just slightly, enough for the crowd to notice. Enough for the live stream chat to flood with fire emojis and the words, "She's turning this around." The desk phone clicked back into its cradle, the word fraud still echoing in the marble chamber. Guests shifted, unsettled, their cameras trained on Gregory's red face. Lauren stood rigid, her hand still tingling from where she had grabbed Aisha. Kevin clutched the stolen card like a weapon, chest puffed with borrowed authority. And then Aisha moved. Not fast, not loud, just deliberate. She slipped her hand into her bag, pulled out her phone, and tapped the screen once. The glow lit her face, calm and controlled. She lifted the phone to her ear. "Nia," she said, voice even. The line clicked instantly. "Standing by," came the reply. The assistant's tone was crisp, professional, the kind of voice that belonged in boardrooms, not back hallways. Gregory sneered, loud enough for the lobby to hear. "Calling backup? Doesn't matter who you know. You're leaving." But Aisha didn't look at him. Her eyes swept the room instead, catching the lenses of raised phones, the dozens of witnesses now holding their breath. She spoke into the receiver with quiet precision. "Activate internal protocol. Timestamp this call. Video logs, audio logs. Secure everything." Nia's voice came back, steady. "Confirmed. System audit activated. Incident recorded." The guard blinked, uneasy. "System audit?" he muttered. He wasn't the only one. A ripple of confusion moved through the staff. Elena's eyes widened. She recognized the phrasing, the language of corporate infrastructure. Gregory laughed, brittle and forced. "What system?" "She's bluffing." But his words landed flat. Phones kept recording, guests kept staring, and Aisha stood there, unshaken, her silence broken only to issue commands that none of them fully understood yet. She lowered the phone slightly, her voice now louder, directed at Gregory. "Every word you've spoken has been logged. Every action recorded. You can't erase it. Not this time." The lobby stiffened. A man near the elevators muttered, "She sounds like she runs this place." His wife whispered back, "What if she does?" Kevin scoffed, gripping the card tighter. "Nice act. Won't change a thing." But his voice lacked the certainty it carried before. Lauren's phone buzzed faintly on the counter. She ignored it, her eyes darting nervously toward Gregory. And Aisha, still calm, still centered, lifted the phone once more. "Nia, escalate. Prepare ownership verification. We may need a full override." A pause. Then Nia's voice, sharp and clear. "Ready when you are." The marble floor seemed to hum again, not with tension this time, but with the weight of something shifting. Guests glanced at each other, uncertain, but sensing that the balance in the room had tilted. Gregory tried to smirk, tried to laugh it off, but the sound didn't reach his eyes. For the first time, doubt crept across his face. And for the first time, the lobby began to wonder, who exactly was the woman he'd just called a fraud? The word override hung in the air like smoke. Guests leaned closer, screens lifted higher, streams filling with fire emojis and disbelief. Gregory tried to seize back control, slamming his palm against the desk. "Enough," he shouted. "This is my lobby, and you," he jabbed his finger toward Aisha, "are nothing here. Nothing." But his voice cracked, and Aisha finally chose to speak not with volume, but with precision. "You keep saying I don't belong," she said evenly. Her gaze swept the room, catching the cameras, the guard, the staff frozen behind the counter. "But the truth is, every square inch of this lobby belongs to me." The silence that followed was electric. For a second, even the air conditioning hum seemed to pause. Gregory blinked. "What did you just say?" Aisha stepped forward, each heel tapping the marble like a gavel. "You called me a fraud. You called me a trespasser. But I am the founder, the owner, the woman who built Horizon Grand from the ground up." Phones jerked upward. Sophie gasped into her live stream. "Oh my God, she owns it." Comments flooded the feed. "What? Tell them. This is history." Elena Ruiz felt her breath leave her chest. The reservation, the VIP tag, it all made sense now. Her voice broke into the stillness, trembling but resolute. She's telling the truth. Her name is in the system. Executive override. Owner-level clearance. Guests erupted in disbelief. Some gasped. Others clapped. One man muttered, "I knew it. She didn't even raise her voice once." Gregory's face drained of color. He looked at Lauren, at Kevin, at the guard still holding Aisha's arm. "She's lying," he sputtered. "This is a trick, a scam." But no one believed him anymore. Aisha lifted her phone again. "Nia," she said calmly. "Verify ownership." The line clicked. Nia's voice filled the lobby, broadcast through the speaker. "Ownership verified. Aisha Carter, founder, CEO, primary shareholder, Horizon Grand Holdings." The declaration landed like thunder. Every camera caught it. Every guest heard it. Every staff member froze. Aisha lowered the phone, eyes locked on Gregory. Her voice was ice. "You just called the owner of this hotel a fraud. In her own lobby. In front of the world." Gregory's mouth opened, closed. No sound came out. Around them, the guests had already chosen sides. Applause broke through, hesitant at first, then stronger. Phones panned to Aisha, capturing her steady posture, her unshaken calm. The twist was complete. And for Gregory Vance, the ground had disappeared beneath his feet. For a heartbeat, no one moved. The name Aisha Carter still echoed from the phone, hanging heavy above the marble floor. Ownership verified. Founder, CEO, primary shareholder. The words reverberated through the chandeliered lobby like the toll of a bell no one could unhear. Then the silence cracked. A guest clapped, once hesitant, unsure. Another followed. Then a third, louder. Within seconds, the sound rippled through the hall until the lobby thundered with applause. Dozens of phones pointed squarely at Gregory and his team, recording every twitch of fear across their faces. Gregory's jaw worked, but no words came out. His flush had drained into a sickly white. The hand he had slammed against the desk now trembled slightly. Fingertips pressed into polished wood as if it might anchor him. But nothing could. Lauren's ponytail no longer looked sleek, her confident smirk long gone. She stepped back from the counter, eyes darting between Aisha and the growing crowd. Her lips formed silent words, "Please." Don't, but no sound emerged. Kevin still clutched the black card in his hand. Only now, it burned. His fingers twitched, desperate to rid himself of it, but too afraid to move. Sweat beaded along his hairline. He muttered under his breath, "What have we done?" The guard, caught between orders and revelation, released his grip on Aisha entirely. He stepped back, palms open, as though to show the audience he wanted no part in what had just unfolded. His radio crackled, but he didn't answer it. His eyes stayed fixed on the floor. Elena Ruiz, the only one who had spoken truth, straightened her shoulders. Relief flickered across her face, though fear still lingered. She whispered almost to herself, "I knew it. I knew she was real." Guests cheered louder now. Some shouted, "Justice." Others called Gregory out directly, "Apologize. You humiliated her." A woman near the door added, "This is going viral." And it already was. Thousands of viewers filled Sophie's stream, comments surging like a flood. "Manager's done." Powerful twist. This is history in real time. Gregory finally found his voice, but it cracked like glass. This isn't protocol. She can't just..." His words stumbled, useless against the weight of proof. His authority, once loud enough to fill the room, now shrank to a trembling whisper. Aisha didn't answer him. She didn't need to. The room itself had spoken. Lauren placed a hand on Gregory's arm, whispering, "We should stop. We should fix this." But he shook her off, panic flashing behind his eyes. Kevin's hand dropped the card onto the counter with a clatter. It no longer looked like company property, it looked like evidence. All around, cameras captured every detail. Gregory's pallor, Lauren's trembling, Kevin's regret. The collapse wasn't quiet. It was public, complete, and irreversible. And in the center of it all stood Aisha, calm, steady, unshaken, watching the empire of lies crumble around her. The applause faded into an expectant hush. Dozens of phones stayed raised, their red dots blinking like watchful eyes. Every lens captured the same image. Gregory pale and rigid behind the counter, Lauren trembling beside him, Kevin sweating through his shirt, and Aisha Carter standing perfectly still at the center of the storm. Her phone was still in her hand. She lifted it again, calm as ever. "Nia," she said softly, but the lobby heard every syllable. "Yes, Miss Carter," the voice replied crisply. Terminate their access. A ripple of shock moved through the staff. Gregory blinked. Wait, what? Aisha didn't flinch. Effective immediately. Gregory Vance, Lauren Hayes, Kevin Patel. Lock out their credentials, revoke authority, initiate system freeze. Processing now, Nia confirmed. The room held its breath. Then it happened. Gregory's badge, clipped neatly to his lapel, buzzed once and flashed red. The scanner behind the desk chimed an error tone. Lauren's ID followed, glowing crimson before dying completely. Kevin's card beeped in his trembling hands. The LED strip fading to black. They were locked out, fired, erased in real time. Gasps turned into cheers. Guests clapped, some whistled, others shouted, "Yes!" Phones caught the moment from every angle. The instant justice was delivered. Not in a courtroom, not in secret, but right here in the lobby where the insult began. Gregory's voice cracked, desperate. "You can't just—" But Aisha cut him off, her tone razor sharp. "I can, and I did." Lauren stammered, "Please, this isn't fair, I didn't—" "You put your hands on me," Aisha replied, voice steady. "In my own hotel. That was your choice." Kevin tried to speak, words tumbling. I didn't know. "You stole from me," she said, her gaze pinning him where he stood. "And you smiled while doing it." The weight of her words fell heavier than any shout. The guard, still lingering at her side, took a step back and raised his hands. "I want no part of this," he muttered. Guests erupted again, applause, cheers, some chanting her name. Sophie's livestream chat flooded. "Terminated live! This is justice! Silent power is greater than is greater than is greater than." Gregory slumped against the counter, the authority stripped from him as visibly as the color from his face. Lauren stared at her dead badge. Kevin dropped his, the clatter echoing like a final verdict. Aisha lowered her phone, her eyes sweeping the room one last time. Calm, collected, absolute. The judgment was complete. The lobby was no longer a battleground. It was a courtroom, and the verdict had already been delivered. Gregory's badge lay lifeless on the counter. Lauren's hands shook as she tried to hide her face from the dozens of phones pointed at her. Kevin stared at the floor, lips pressed tight, his badge dead in his palm. Their collapse wasn't private, it was immortalized, recorded in hundreds of clips streaming out into the world. And in the center, Aisha Carter stood tall, silent, composed, untouched. For a long moment, she let the noise speak for her applause. Cheers, the whispers of disbelief turning into roars of satisfaction. Justice had arrived not in paperwork or press releases, but right here, in real time. Finally, she stepped forward. The marble under her heels echoed with quiet authority. Phones tilted upward, waiting. Her eyes scanned the room, the guests, the staff who still stood frozen, Elena with her trembling relief, the guard who had retreated, the crowd that had chosen to stand witness. Then she spoke. "You told me I didn't belong here, that I was a fraud, that I was nothing." Her voice cut clean, carrying without strain. "But I am the founder, the CEO, and the owner of every wall you tried to use against me." Gasps rippled again, though softer now, like an exhale of recognition. She paused, letting the weight settle. "I didn't have to shout. I didn't have to beg. I just had to let you reveal yourselves. And now, the world has seen it too." Phones caught every word. Sophie's live stream chat exploded. Chills. That line. Iconic. Aisha's gaze moved back to Gregory one last time. "Remember this. Silence doesn't mean weakness. It means patience. And patience has no mercy when justice arrives." The words landed like a gavel striking wood. Then she turned, not toward the staff, but toward the guests who had stood with her. "Thank you for witnessing. Not for me, but for everyone who's ever been told they don't belong. Tonight, we reminded them, dignity isn't negotiable." Applause erupted again, louder, deeper, echoing off the marble and glass. Some guests stood to clap. Others raised their phones higher, capturing the final image. Aisha Carter, standing resolute in her own hotel, the very place they had tried to strip her dignity, now reclaimed fully in front of them all. She didn't wait for Gregory's excuses. She didn't need them. She turned toward the elevators, her steps slow, steady, regal. The crowd parted instinctively, a corridor of respect forming between her and the doors. And as the elevator chimed open, she offered one final line, soft but unmissable. I don't need the clip. I am the outcome. The doors closed, and the lobby erupted not in chaos, but in thunderous applause, as justice sealed itself into history.